time for yourself. And I think that's where...
I mean, that's the only time you'll probably get. I don't think you can ever get, once you're a mom, I don't think you can ever get the entire day. And you don't think you want it as well.
You don't want it. Believe me, once they start, now my kids are in school till 1 and 3. I'm very grateful that I have my show, so I'm busy. But now when both are coming home at 3, I will wonder what to do, you know, I mean, apart from work. But you made a very valid point about your mom and your mother-in-law both being very close. I know that your home is a little like a nursery school with 6 kids and, you know, 3 sets of families with your mother-in-law, which is great. I know you guys get on very well and she gives you good advice as well. But coming to one of the statistics from the survey, which said that 66% of people, of real Indian moms said that their mother-in-law and their mother's views are often conflicting. I'd like to come to you as a clinical psychologist. When you have this kind of contradictory advice, apart from confusing people, can it also breed fear? Or how would that work
But what I think the mother at that point, the new mom, has to do is sift the advice and decide that to take some from the mom and apply it where it's relevant to the child, and to take some from the mother-in-law and apply it. Because both come from points of view which may be different. And I think the biggest lesson to learn in my parenting was that every child is unique. So I'm a twin, and I realized that my mom used different strategies, if I may use that word, for each of us, even though we were twins. I preferred sleeping longer. My sister was slightly more hyper. So there is no right thing. There is a thing which you have to see fits uniquely to every child that is in front of you. And of course, the parents, both the mother-in-law and the mother, may have points of view. It is as a discerning daughter-in-law and a daughter that you do not put one against the other, and that you take bits of advice from both and put it forward when it works for your child.
It also might be influenced by who you're more frightened of. I'm just joking. I'm just joking, but that's in an Indian context, we have more, most often there's more family involvement, right? I happen to be half Indian and half English, and I see the difference because my mom is English, and I see that it's a little different. You know, my mom is, although of course she's been here 45 years, so she's quite Indianized, but I see my cousins in the UK, they kind of, it's more nuclear when it comes to the way they bring up. They may not have as much involvement, and again, it's each to their own. You take what you want from either.
I think even the Dove data showed that I think Chinese are the most dependent on family advice, followed by Indians and so on.
Yes, I think this is what's so interesting about that global survey, that you see the differences. Now, talking about, as a doctor, the concerns that people come to you with, I'm sure you have the usual, like Genelia mentioned, about breastfeeding, when do you stop, when do you give solids, all those things that we've all asked. And I'm embarrassed to admit that I am one of those mothers who's messaged my doctor. Dr. Balsekar has had messages from me saying, do I do this or do I do that? But I think I've also learned to be a little chilled. But what are the main concerns that new mothers come to you with?
See, just like I said right at the beginning, and what Genelia probably said, she's lucky that, we still follow in the culture of a traditional joint family. But that's changing dramatically today. And not only dramatically, there was a time when we used to, like I said, we used to have 2 sets of grandparents. Now with nuclear families, we don't see that kind of, both a set of grandparents. And then people change their jobs very often, change scenarios very often. That's another additional thing. Now the other things which are adding is intercaste marriages which are taking place. So there's, a conflict between the 2 grandmothers. The one would say one and the other would say the other. So with all this, the scenario with taking care of a child is you have to evaluate what the myths are, traditions are, facts are, changing times that take place. And of course, you also have blogs and Google to confuse you further and add to the complication. But like, what Tara said, you do face, you have Dr. Varka who herself said that she was a little who slept more and the other was hyper. So that's why my child doesn't sleep would be the commonest thing. But it's the way to understand my child doesn't eat is the most commonest thing. And you probably go to a little detail of trying to understand what the child eats. I said, boss, I don't eat that much. It's that kind of a situation. But he basically is like a current account. Whatever he eats, he basically runs off or weighs it off. So it's each, and these are common things which we keep facing. So at the end of the day, I think a little amount of talking to, counseling definitely helps parents, and I think it's basically trying to say, allow the child his space. Like you need your space, the child needs his space, and he does everything. It's not much that.
Do skincare issues come up?
You can imagine, the traditional way would say, you apply this oil is good, that oil is good. You will have somebody will say, okay, add something and probably muscles will become better, and add something else, the brain becomes better. It's unending. At the end of the day, from our side, we basically say that oil does nothing. It's your massage, it's the touch, it's the bonding which comes from what you do for the baby. I think that's what makes all the difference. And believe me, I'll probably be happy to share with you now, there are fathers who like to do it more.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and just like maternity, we probably say now they require paternity leave in the future. That would probably be another thing which will come up. And I have a lot of parents who now, especially the nuclear family ones, where the grandparents are not there. The mother would do the morning one, and the night massage would be given by the father. And that touch therapy is what is important. So we say it doesn't matter which or what. Whatever is good for your baby's skin. So baby's skin is very, very tender, very sensitive, and it's totally different from an adult skin. Because it requires a lot of moisture, requires, a lot of fluid loss as well as fat loss takes from the skin. So we just say be careful of what you apply, and be careful of how hard you apply. You should not be over-jealous in doing anything, and when you are over-jealous, you're going to damage the skin. And that damaging of the skin is going to give more problems with infections and other things. So I think, that is why I said, when I spoke to them, I said, please tell me what the composition, the safety of what you apply is more important than actually saying, oh, there are different things in the market, can I do this, that, and mix and match. And the last thing we always tell parents is, when you do something for your skin, don't change because somebody else is telling you. The information of changing, because every change is a new set of either fatty acids or chemicals which could be, harmful or maybe harsh on the baby's skin and give trouble.
So thank you. That was, interesting to know the kind of concerns that parents have. Now moving away from the baby, I think, as Ruchi said when we walked in, it's interesting that, the conversation is about the real mums. Now, of course, everyone compliments the baby, but the reality is it's the parents who are, whose life
Once you
perhaps
deliver,
changes.
no one asks you how you're doing also.
What are the kids doing?
How's
the child? Like, about me, I exist.
So now going back to that you exist, when you starting your next film?
Yes.
Do you, because as I said, the statistic that comes out of the Baby Dove Global Survey actually says that India has the highest percentage, 54% of women who want to go back to work, which I found quite interesting. Because having done this show, as I said, for 4 seasons, we have a lot of working women coming on the show, mothers going back to work, mompreneurs who've started their own enterprises, being a mother and an entrepreneur. So what's your view on going back to work?
I don't think I ever left work, Tara.
Yeah.
This is work at the end of the day. I have a 4-month son. I'm here at an event.
Absolutely.
I was there at an event for my first time around after 3 months. I don't think you don't work, and I think as a mom you do something or the other which is a lot of work. It may not be acting, it may not be, certain things. I have a production house.
Yeah.
I've just produced a song. On my way to producing 2 films. You are producing your show, acting in a show. So I think we all work. Maybe the nature is a bit different.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be grateful to do a film today also. And the thing is, it's no more that you can't do it. Like both of us do. We take our children everywhere. Yeah. I don't think my son is, particular, and I don't stop him from running around and having fun. I was shooting on Sunday. He was there on sets both my children. Yeah. So every time I needed to feed, I would do that. And I think women in general can multitask so well. Absolutely. That you never really, have a problem. And on a day that you need to do a little more work, I'm grateful that my husband understands that it's our child together.
Yes.
And he's there. Like this morning, I had to be at home and I couldn't drop my son to school. He did it.
Yeah.
He does it every morning. He wakes up early, though he has worked the rest of the day, because he does understand that I wake up in the middle of the night as well.
Yeah.
And I think once you have that kind of thing going, and
Yeah.
you can do anything at any point in time. Yeah, sure, maybe it's a bit restrictive and you can't go out on a Wednesday or a Friday, but so what?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, I
sometimes
don't
you-
think that's
you
a bad
stop
thing.
even wanting to,
Yeah,
actually.
you stop
feel
wanting
like-
to. You'll still enjoy a Saturday better. You'll enjoy Monday probably better when you go out. It's just about being content, I think, at the end of the day.
Yes.
And yeah, honestly, like if a product like Baby Dove teaches you that you can be rest assured that this baby wipe is a good baby wipe and this soap is a good soap, then mentally you're so much more at peace. So I think it's important to gather the right kind of information. Like when we're talking about mums and mother-in-laws, honestly, I never had an issue with either my mum or my mother-in-law. I think because they both came from a zone where they understood that you are the mum, we'll do what you tell us to,
Yeah.
and my mom and mother-in-law get along much better. So, I didn't have that issue, but yet there were things that I wanted to do my way,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like not advised or stopped or restricted. But what I did is I take my mom, I take my mother-in-law where I go. If I need them to hear something from a doctor,
Yeah.
like from my pediatrician, I'll take them there. And I'll explain to them, I'll talk to them. I think as much as we are evolving as moms, they are evolving as grandmoms. It's their first time too, you know.
Yeah.
So though this entire process looks all complex and,